Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements is a guide to personal freedom and self-discovery, rooted in the ancient wisdom of the Toltecs, a civilization known for their deep spiritual and philosophical insights. The book presents a powerful framework for breaking free from self-limiting beliefs that have been ingrained in us since childhood. Ruiz explains that from the moment we are born, we are subjected to societal conditioning, rules, expectations, and belief systems imposed by family, education, and culture. Over time, we unconsciously adopt these beliefs, forming a set of agreements about how the world works and who we are supposed to be. Unfortunately, many of these agreements create fear, self-doubt, and suffering, keeping us trapped in a cycle of judgment and emotional pain. Ruiz argues that to achieve true happiness and personal freedom, we must become aware of these limiting beliefs and replace them with new, empowering agreements. He introduces the Four Agreements as a simple yet profound set of guiding principles that can help individuals transform their lives. These agreements, being impeccable with your word, not taking things personally, avoiding assumptions, and always doing your best, act as a blueprint for shedding old patterns and embracing a more authentic way of living. By consciously practicing them, one can break free from negative conditioning, cultivate inner peace, and create a life filled with love and joy. The journey requires awareness, discipline, and a willingness to challenge long-held beliefs, but the rewards are profound. A life of true personal freedom, unhindered by fear, guilt, or self-imposed limitations. In this video, we'll break down each agreement and how applying them can change the way you think, act, and interact with the world. So stay tuned, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more powerful book summaries that help you grow. Part 1. Domestication and the Dream of the Planet. From the moment we are born, we enter a world already shaped by rules, expectations, and beliefs passed down through generations. As children, we absorb these norms without question, learning from parents, teachers, and society what is considered right or wrong, good or bad, acceptable or unacceptable. This process is what Don Miguel Ruiz calls domestication. Just as animals are trained to follow commands through rewards and punishments, we too are conditioned to behave in ways that gain approval and avoid rejection. When we follow the rules, we are rewarded with praise, love, or acceptance. When we break them, we are punished, criticized, or made to feel ashamed. Over time, we internalize these rules and begin policing ourselves, even when external authority is absent. Through this domestication process, we create agreements, beliefs about ourselves, others, and the world that shape our perception of reality. Some of these agreements are helpful, such as respecting others or valuing honesty. However, many are based on fear and limitation. We may agree, for example, that we are not good enough, that failure is something to be ashamed of, or that love must be earned through obedience and perfection. These unconscious agreements dictate our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, often trapping us in cycles of guilt, self-judgment, and suffering. We become afraid to be our authentic selves, fearing rejection or punishment from society. The problem with these inherited agreements is that they are rarely chosen consciously. They are imposed upon us before we have the ability to question their validity. By the time we are adults, we operate under a set of rules that may not reflect our true nature or personal truth. Ruiz suggests that the only way to attain true freedom is to recognize these false agreements and break them. To do so, we must first become aware of the conditioning that has shaped us, question the beliefs we have accepted without examination, and replace them with agreements that serve our happiness and well-being. This process is not easy, as it requires unlearning deeply ingrained patterns and challenging ideas that have provided us with a sense of security. However, by consciously choosing new agreements that align with our authentic selves, we can free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and reclaim our personal power. The Four Agreements introduced by Ruiz offer a clear and practical guide for this transformation. They provide a new framework for living that replaces fear-based conditioning with a mindset of self-love, clarity, and empowerment. By adopting these principles, we break free from the limitations imposed by society and step into a life of true personal freedom. Part 2. The 4 Agreements. Agreement 1. Be impeccable with your word. The first and most powerful agreement is to be impeccable with your word. Words have an immense impact on our lives and the lives of those around us. They have the power to inspire, heal, and uplift, but they can also harm, deceive, and destroy. Ruiz emphasizes that language is not just a tool for communication, it is a creative force that shapes our reality. The words we choose, both in how we speak to others and to ourselves, determine the quality of our relationships, self-esteem, and overall mindset. To be impeccable with your word means to use it with integrity and responsibility. The word impeccable comes from the Latin peccatus, meaning sin, and meaning without. Thus, being impeccable with your word means being without sin in your speech, not using words in ways that cause harm, either to yourself or others. Ruiz explains that when we speak with honesty, kindness, and love, we elevate ourselves and those around us. Conversely, when we lie, gossip, criticize, or use negative self-talk, we spread negativity and poison our own minds. One of the most damaging ways people misuse their words is through self-judgment and negative self-talk. Many of us have internalized harmful beliefs about ourselves, often repeating phrases like, "I'm not good enough," "I'll never succeed," or "I don't deserve happiness." These words become self-fulfilling prophecies, reinforcing doubt and limiting our potential. Similarly, when we use our words to gossip or criticize others, we spread negativity and contribute to the suffering of those around us. Ruiz compares words to spells. They have the power to enchant, influence, and shape reality. A single sentence can either lift someone up or deeply wound them. This is why he urges people to choose their words carefully, using them to encourage, inspire, and speak truth. Instead of spreading fear or judgment, we should use our words to express love, appreciation, and authenticity. Being impeccable with your word also means speaking truthfully and avoiding deception. Many people lie out of fear, shame, or the desire to be accepted, but dishonesty ultimately leads to conflict and mistrust. When we commit to truthfulness, we cultivate deeper relationships based on trust and respect. This does not mean being blunt or hurtful. Rather, it means communicating with honesty while maintaining kindness and empathy. Practicing this agreement requires awareness and discipline. It involves catching ourselves when we engage in negative self-talk, avoiding harmful speech about others, and ensuring that our words align with our values. By being impeccable with our word, we transform our inner and outer worlds, creating a life filled with integrity, love, and positivity. Agreement 2. Don't take anything personally. The second agreement, don't take anything personally, is about freeing yourself from unnecessary suffering by understanding that what others say and do is a reflection of their own reality, not yours. Most of the pain we experience in life comes from how we interpret the words and actions of others. When someone criticizes, insults, or rejects us, we often assume it is a personal attack, proof that we are not good enough or that something is wrong with us. However, Ruiz teaches that this assumption is false. People act based on their own beliefs, emotions, and experiences, which have nothing to do with us. Their words and actions are shaped by their own fears, insecurities, and past conditioning. If someone insults you, it is not because you deserve the insult, but because they are projecting their internal struggles onto you. Similarly, when people praise or admire you, that too is a reflection of their perspective rather than an absolute truth about who you are. Ruiz gives the example of someone calling you stupid. If you take it personally, you might feel offended, hurt, or defensive. But if you do not take it personally, you realize that this opinion comes from the other person's own mindset. It has nothing to do with your actual worth. The moment you stop allowing others' opinions to define you, you gain emotional freedom. This agreement is especially important in relationships. Many conflicts arise because people take things personally and react emotionally. If someone is having a bad day and speaks to you harshly, it is easy to assume they are angry at you. In reality, their frustration may have nothing to do with you at all. When we learn not to take things personally, we stop feeling like victims of other people's emotions and behaviors. Another key aspect of this agreement is not seeking validation from others. When we rely on external approval to feel good about ourselves, we become vulnerable to other people's opinions. If they compliment us, we feel happy. If they criticize us, we feel hurt. By detaching from others' judgments, both positive and negative, we cultivate self-worth from within. We no longer need validation from others to feel valuable. Practicing this agreement requires self-awareness and inner strength. It means reminding yourself that people's opinions are shaped by their own experiences and that you are not responsible for how they feel or behave. When you stop taking things personally, you break free from emotional suffering, develop resilience, and maintain peace of mind, regardless of external circumstances. Agreement 3. Don't make assumptions. The third agreement, don't make assumptions, highlights one of the biggest sources of misunderstandings, conflicts, and suffering in our lives. As human beings, we often assume we know what others are thinking, feeling, or intending without actually asking for clarification. These assumptions then shape our emotions and reactions, leading to unnecessary pain and drama. Ruiz explains that our minds naturally try to fill in gaps of information based on past experiences, fears, and insecurities. Instead of seeking the truth, we create stories in our minds and believe them as if they were facts. For example, if a friend doesn't return a message, we might assume they are angry at us or don't care, when in reality, they might simply be busy or dealing with personal issues. These false assumptions can lead to resentment, anxiety, or even damaged relationships. One of the most harmful ways we make assumptions is in personal relationships. We expect our partners, friends, or family members to know what we want or need without us expressing it. When they fail to meet these unspoken expectations, we feel disappointed, betrayed, or unloved. Ruiz emphasizes that people cannot read minds. If we want something, we must communicate it clearly instead of assuming they should just know. This agreement also applies to how we interpret other people's words and actions. Many conflicts arise because we assume negative intentions behind someone's behavior without verifying the truth. Instead of assuming, we should ask questions and seek clarification. A simple, "What did you mean by that?" or "Can you explain what you're feeling?" can prevent unnecessary misunderstandings. Practicing this agreement requires courage because it means actively communicating and expressing what we truly want, think, and feel. It also requires patience and an open mind, as we must be willing to listen to others instead of jumping to conclusions. When we stop making assumptions, we eliminate a major source of stress and miscommunication, allowing us to build healthier and more honest relationships. By seeking clarity instead of guessing, we create a life filled with understanding, trust, and emotional peace. Agreement 4. Always do your best. The fourth and final agreement, always do your best, serves as a guiding principle that ties all the previous agreements together. It encourages us to give our full effort in everything we do, but with an important distinction: our best is not a fixed standard. It fluctuates depending on various factors, including our health, energy levels, emotions, and circumstances. The key is to do the best we can in each moment without self-judgment, guilt, or regret. Ruiz explains that when we push ourselves beyond our natural limits, we experience unnecessary stress, exhaustion, and even resentment. On the other hand, if we do less than what we are capable of, we invite feelings of self-doubt and dissatisfaction. The goal is to find a balance, doing our best without overextending ourselves or being overly critical. Some days, our best effort might be highly productive and energetic, while on other days, it may simply mean resting and taking care of ourselves. By following this agreement, we free ourselves from self-judgment and perfectionism. Many people hold themselves to impossibly high standards, believing that anything less than perfection is failure. However, Ruiz reminds us that as long as we put forth our best effort, there is no reason to feel guilt or shame. If we make a mistake, we can learn from it and move forward rather than dwelling on regret. This principle is also essential for building consistency and discipline in life. Whether it's in work, relationships, or personal growth, showing up and doing our best every day leads to long-term success and fulfillment. It prevents procrastination and excuses, as we are no longer focused on results or comparisons, but on the effort itself. Moreover, doing our best allows us to enjoy life more fully. When we are fully engaged in what we do, whether it's working, exercising, or spending time with loved ones, we experience greater satisfaction. Instead of worrying about whether we are good enough, we focus on giving our best and being present in each moment. Ultimately, this agreement teaches us self-compassion and persistence. It reinforces that we don't have to be perfect. We just need to show up and give our best under any given circumstances. When we adopt this mindset, we cultivate a sense of inner peace, knowing that no matter what happens, we have done everything within our power. This, in turn, leads to a life free of regret, filled with purpose, joy, and personal fulfillment. Part 3. Breaking Old Agreements and Embracing New Freedom. Throughout life, we unknowingly adopt beliefs that limit our potential and create unnecessary suffering. These beliefs are shaped by society, family, and past experiences, forming a set of unconscious agreements that dictate how we see ourselves and the world. Breaking free from these limitations requires awareness and a conscious effort to replace old patterns with new, empowering agreements. The first step is recognizing and dismantling limiting beliefs. Many of our struggles stem from deeply ingrained ideas about what we can or cannot do, what we deserve, and how we should behave. These beliefs often go unquestioned, yet they influence every aspect of our lives. For example, someone who has always believed they are not good enough may avoid taking risks or pursuing their dreams. By bringing these beliefs to the surface and challenging their validity, we take the first step toward personal freedom. Forgiveness plays a crucial role in this transformation. Forgiving ourselves and others releases the emotional burden of guilt, shame, and resentment. Holding on to past mistakes or blaming others for our struggles keeps us trapped in negativity. Ruiz emphasizes that true forgiveness does not mean excusing harmful actions, but rather freeing ourselves from the emotional weight they carry. When we let go of past wounds, we create space for healing and growth. With a clear mind and an open heart, we can begin to embrace love, truth, and personal responsibility. Living by the 4 agreements requires commitment, but it leads to a life of authenticity and inner peace. Instead of reacting based on fear and conditioning, we learn to respond with clarity and intention. When we are impeccable with our word, we create a positive reality. When we stop taking things personally, we free ourselves from unnecessary pain. When we avoid making assumptions, we build better relationships. And when we always do our best, we live without regret. This journey is not about achieving perfection, but about progress and awareness. Breaking old agreements is a continuous process, requiring patience and self-compassion. However, as we replace fear-based beliefs with empowering ones, we step into a life of true freedom where our choices are guided by love, confidence, and self-respect. Conclusion: a new way of life. The 4 agreements offer a path to personal freedom, self-empowerment, and emotional well-being. By adopting these principles, we free ourselves from the invisible chains of societal conditioning, self-doubt, and fear-based thinking. These agreements help us break the old patterns of suffering and replace them with a life guided by love, authenticity, and clarity. Living by these agreements allows us to cultivate deep inner peace. Being impeccable with our word ensures that we communicate truthfully and with kindness, avoiding the harm that careless speech can cause. Not taking things personally protects us from unnecessary emotional suffering, reminding us that others' words and actions are reflections of their own reality, not ours. Not making assumptions prevents misunderstandings and conflicts, encouraging open and honest communication. Always doing our best keeps us from feeling regret, as we know we have given our full effort in every moment, regardless of the circumstances. However, transformation does not happen overnight. Breaking free from years of conditioning requires continuous practice, self-awareness, and patience. There will be moments when old habits resurface, when we find ourselves taking things personally or making assumptions despite our best intentions. The key is not to judge ourselves harshly, but to gently return to these agreements, using them as a guiding light for personal growth. As we integrate these agreements into our lives, we begin to see profound changes in our relationships, careers, and overall happiness. By changing ourselves, we naturally influence those around us. When we live with integrity, speak with kindness, and refuse to engage in negativity, we inspire others to do the same. The transformation starts from within but extends outward, creating a ripple effect that contributes to a more compassionate and understanding world. Ultimately, the 4 agreements provide more than just a set of rules. They offer a philosophy for living a life free from unnecessary suffering and full of joy and authenticity. When we commit to this path, we step into a world where we are no longer victims of external circumstances, but creators of our own reality, shaping a life that aligns with our true essence. The 4 agreements may seem simple, but their impact is truly life-changing. By being impeccable with our word, not taking things personally, avoiding assumptions, and always doing our best, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and step into a life of true happiness and inner peace. If you found this summary valuable, let me know in the comments which agreement resonated with you the most. And if you want more such insightful book summaries, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.